Some sleuths on TikTok may have just taken things too far. This is Nicola Bulley, a 45-year-old who disappeared on January 27th of this year. The only clues in her disappearance were her phone left on a bench near a river and her dog running around off-leash. Her mysterious disappearance generated massive interest on social media, with many posting speculation and theories about her. One influencer, Dan Duffy, who posted numerous videos of himself searching for Nicola on TikTok and YouTube, was even arrested for interfering with the investigation.
As I'm being investigated on a public order offence in an allegation to, well, they've had an allegation. As you all know, I was in search to find the missing woman, Nicola.
Just this week, Nicola's body was recovered from the river, but TikTokers were on the scene and police said they were a distraction.
I came through a minute ago.
Yeah, I know, I saw.
My car's there, so I've obviously gone round. I've gone over the bridge without thinking I've gone over the river.
Right.
I've gone all the way down there, and the road goes off the river, doesn't it? It goes away.
Right, okay.
So I'm wrong side.
Right, okay, mate.
I don't mind waiting, but I need to...
Yeah, just for the time being, there's some cops on there. Just mind waiting with them for the time being.
They even filmed Nicola's body being pulled from the river. That video was quickly posted to TikTok, where it has nearly 2 million views. Local police in the UK said public interest in this case was unlike anything they had ever seen, and some experts think cases like this will eventually lead to backlash against true crime entertainment.
A guiltless, remorseless killer who admitted to the murders of up to 13 people. Metheny was so deeply depraved that he routinely cannibalized the remains of some of his victims. What's worse, he also ground them up, mixed them with his burgers, and sold their remains to unwitting strangers. Betrayal. Joe Metheny was a 6'1" man, and he weighed over 400 pounds. He came from a deeply dysfunctional family and suffered from drug addiction most of his life. Metheny's reign of terror was kicked off in July of 1994 when he returned home from work to find his place completely empty. His wife had left him for another man, stolen everything, took his 6-year-old son with her, and ran away. First murders. A few months after his wife ran off, Metheny successfully tracked down the area where she lived. In a bid to find his wife, came across 2 homeless men named Randy Piker and Randall Brewer, 2 men who apparently used to get high with his wife. Metheny brutally murdered the pair and, in his own words, chopped them up. After that, Metheny approached 2 prostitutes trying to find information about his wife's whereabouts. He would sexually assault and kill them both when he couldn't get the information he wanted. He also bludgeoned a passing fisherman to death, thinking him to be a witness, an event that Metheny would later describe to the police as a busy night. Strange appetites. Metheny was eventually arrested for the murders of the homeless men, but unfortunately for his later victims, Metheny didn't stay in prison for long. He was set free due to a lack of physical evidence. Once again a free man, Metheny didn't even bother looking for his wife anymore. Now it was all about his new hobby, murder, and he was about to make some money doing it too. His next victims were 2 sex workers he lured into his trailer home. Metheny sexually assaulted them, strangled them to death, and cut them up. He put their remains in the freezer and buried the rest in shallow graves near his home. After cannibalizing what was left of his victims, Metheny came up with the vile idea of opening up a roadside open pit roast beef sandwich stand. There, he sold the remains of the murdered girls mixed with other meats to his customers. According to Metheny, human meat is almost indistinguishable from pork and easy to disguise in a sandwich. Metheny would go on to lure and kill 23-year-old Kimberly Lynn Spicer to get a fresh supply of what he called his, quote, special meat. Final victim. On December 8, 1996, Metheny would lure a woman named Rita Kemper over to his home to partake in some cocaine. As usual, he had ulterior motives, and shortly after she arrived, he was violently ripping her clothes off. Metheny even explicitly told her he was going to kill her and bury her in the woods. Luckily for Rita, however, Metheny got distracted, and she managed to run out of the trailer. Being the hulking mass of flesh that he was, Metheny could only watch as she outran him, scaled a barbed wire fence, and was picked up by a Good Samaritan. The cops would show up shortly after to pick him up. Confession. Upon his arrest, Metheny had some disturbing things to share with the police. He confessed to the murder of a woman named Catherine Magaziner. Apparently, he cut off her head and buried it, only to dig it up 6 months later, wash out the maggots, and commit some unspeakable acts to it. When asked if he felt any remorse, this was what he had to say. "The only thing I feel bad about in any of this is I didn't get to murder the 2 mother I was really after, and that's my ex-old lady and she got hooked up with. Sentencing. Facing trial for his many atrocities, Metheny asked that the court give him the death sentence, saying that he was more than willing to give up his life for what he had done, for God to judge him and send him to hell for eternity. In 1998, Metheny's wish was granted, and he was given the death penalty, only for it to get reversed when the death sentence was overturned in 2000. Instead, he was to serve 2 consecutive life sentences. Metheny did eventually get the death he desired, though. In 2017, at the age of 62, he was found dead in his cell, the cause of which was deemed natural.
Now that's crazy. This dude was looking for his girl, then decided to get so frustrated that he started killing people. And then he got so infatuated with it that he just turned it into a hobby. And then this sick, twisted boy then made it to where he can put the people in burgers and meat and stuff, and then he starts selling it to folks, you know what I'm saying? And I hope whoever, sorry y'all, I hope whoever ate one of his burgers, I hope they didn't get sick from it. That sounds very disturbing to know that back then he got away with this. And who knows for how long he got away with this, because this is so wrong.